Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of the Multicultural Affairs Office for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about exciting things that are happening in our community, and today will be no different. My guest today is Chris Mitchell. He's the Director of the Huntsville Dream Center. The Huntsville Dream Center is a nonprofit organization that provides wonderful services to our community and tries to create a bridge of hope, which I think is part of the theme of what the Dream Center represents. So Chris, first of all, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Kenny. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you here, and it's great to be able to talk about this awesome initiative that is a part of our community that we know is being well used, and it's a ministry as well, and we're appreciative of that. First of all, though, you know, it would be easy for me to just say, tell me about the Dream Center and all these other great things, but I want to ask about you first.
Okay.
Tell me a little something about you, your background, and what brings you to this project.
Well, I was actually raised over in Florence, Alabama, and graduated from Brooks High School there on Highway 72, and ended up going to a Bible training center out in Dallas, Texas after I graduated, and went straight into the ministry. Spent 13 years in youth ministry, and then the rest of it in a senior role, senior pastoring, planting churches, raising up dream centers like this one here in Huntsville. And just a year ago was asked to come and direct the Huntsville Dream Center. I don't know if you want a little bit of history about dream centers and how they operate.
That'll
probably be good to know.
I'll provide the backdrop for what we're going to talk about. Sure.
Back in the 90s, early 90s, Matthew Barnett, a pastor's son out in Phoenix, Arizona, went to Los Angeles, California, and started the very first Dream Center, the LA Dream Center. And since then, Dream Centers literally have cropped up, popped up all across the nation in just about every major city and in between. And it's really just a grassroots, roll up your sleeves, get in the trenches, find the needs that might not be being met in the community, and building a network of agencies and schools and businesses and churches and individuals, hopefully of like heart and like spirit, to go in and to just do some good work.
Yeah, you know, and it's interesting that you said that, and I'm glad you did actually, because any kind of good thing that one might do typically emerges from some sense or awareness of a need. And we know that wherever we are, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are, that we can look at the whole spectrum of life and we can recognize that there's some people who are doing very well,
right,
and some people who are not doing well at all, and then there's everybody in the middle.
Right.
But there are all kind of needs even across the spectrum. And recognizing that those needs exist suggests that dream centers should exist. Right. The whole idea that you're all about creating networks, bridging opportunities, connecting people with resources. And that's really why I wanted to have you come on this show today, because one of the things we do a lot on this broadcast is talk about what's out there in the community.
Right.
Because a lot of people suffer in silence. They have a need. They may even look okay when we see them. Right. But in reality, they're suffering from some deficiency in their life. And of course, we could talk about we could talk about the emotional deficiencies in one's life. We could talk about spiritual deficiencies if we chose to, but there are a lot of physical deficiencies that people experience that include things like food, shelter, clothing, friendship, just the human contact, the human touch. And I know you've seen a lot of that.
We have, and you hit it. I mean, that is the mantra, if you would say that, of the Dream Center and all Dream Centers is the friendship, the relationship. There was a study that came out years ago of those that might fall into the categories of below the poverty line or an underserved community, that the two things that would build a bridge for them to come out is education and relationship, building that trust, that bridge. And when you think about it, relationship really, it doesn't trump education because you just can't do it without the other. But the trust factor is so big, so huge in making a difference, making an impact, turning a generation, changing the landscape of certain areas of the city that you're concerned about and you want to show compassion to. That really is it. Everything that we do, even when we come alongside D Hill and Operation Green Team, if we're cleaning yards or painting porches, or like we were this past weekend with CASA, going out and building handicap ramps for those that need them. The contact with the resident, the contact with the community, just the conversation, hopefully that begins to build that rapport and that trust, and to know that whatever resources we've got, our arms are open, our hands are open, and we're going to get it filtered to you as best we can.
You know, that old saying that people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
True.
Kind of
Very
fits
true.
so well into this whole paradigm, because, we oftentimes we think about the need as the primary thing. They need food. They need a place to stay.
Right.
They need clothing. They need an education. They need access to transportation. We think about those things. But you know what else people need? People just need to know that you care. They need a word of encouragement. Right. They need an attaboy and attagirl. They need to know that there's hope beyond the barrier that they're experiencing and facing in life. And I imagine that's a lot of what you're able to see. That's a lot of what you're able to do through the mission of the Dream Team.
It really is.
The Dream Center.
You said
the Dream Team working through the Dream Center.
You're right. You're right. And in a lot of ways, a couple of things that just for information for those that are listening and watching today, the Manor House that's been around for 10 years, we just celebrated 10 years of being in the city, comes underneath the umbrella of the Dream Center, as well as PAR, which is Preparedness and Response, that actually popped up in 2011 during and after, right after the storms.
That's right, the big tornado.
And so you've got, I'm not sure everyone's aware, but you've got, I think it's 10 or 12 or maybe more trailers that are ready to go anytime a storm happens. They're strategically placed all over the region, really, to go in there and get those trees down, get those tarps on the roof, just to help out in that way.
Kind of a rapid response situation.
It is. Those two things are what people know of in the community. And so Huntsville Dream Center is kind of a new term. One of the things we're looking forward to in the new year is getting in contact with as many of the agencies. Kenny, here in Huntsville, such a benevolent, compassionate city with so many different organizations and agencies and churches, businesses that are just doing great work. So our hope is to, one of the things, if we become a volunteer clearinghouse, that'd be fine with us. That if we can funnel, people and hopefully resources to those that need it and maybe fill some gaps for them, not trying to reinvent the wheel or duplicate what's happening, but just enhance. We're looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a blessing to those that we reach. Obviously, it's going to be a blessing to the ones that give of themselves to serve.
Absolutely. We've had Fran sit right there in that seat from Manor House. Fran Flula doing a great job over there.
Amazing
Very
woman.
Compassionate person. I mean, she is the true ever energizer bunny.
She truly is.
Just constantly cares, constantly goes, and is constantly looking for ways to improve the quality of people's lives throughout the city.
Right.
It is absolutely amazing when we think about the prosperity that's a part of our city. And this is a very prosperous community. High per capita income, in terms of our research park, second largest in the nation, high concentration of engineers and scientists and technicians and lots of really highly skilled people in this area making good salaries and doing quite well for themselves. They've got all these academic institutions here that are training the next generation. So we have all this tremendous potential here, but we have to remember that even in the midst of that, we do have those other challenges. We have people that are homeless.
We do.
We have people that are going through changes in their life that sometimes bring about adversity that requires them to do things. And Manor House, I was just there the other day, in fact.
Yes, you were. Thank you. Thank you. That was a wonderful day.
A wonderful day. Listen, and it's always good to be there too, because it really reminds you about the other side of life in Huntsville. That even in the midst of the prosperity, there are these challenges. And so I'm talking to one of the volunteers, and he says, we're open 3 days a week, and we could feed on any given day 1,000 people. On another day, we may feed 2,300 people. And when you think about that,
Those are real numbers.
Real numbers. That is astounding.
It is.
And this is what I want you to talk about just for a few moments. We tend to think, us outside of that population, we kind of think of this as the person who's down in their luck because they're an alcoholic, or maybe they've committed a crime and they're a felon and they're having trouble getting back on their feet. And we think about it in that way. But what we're seeing today are a lot of people who are in the situation that a lot of others are in now, living paycheck to paycheck.
Correct.
Getting laid off of a job that they have for many years, a very stable life, going through a divorce, and other kinds of life changes that have now caused them to face real hard daily decisions about what gets paid, when does something get paid, how do I get from one point to the next? And that's a lot of what you're seeing with the people coming through Manor House.
We are. We really are. It's such a wide spectrum. I mean, you think, if we're not careful, we do tend to start putting folks in categories and percentages, but more and more we're seeing a wide spectrum of individuals, single moms that have a job, maybe, like you said, are facing a divorce, going through a difficult time, and just are not able to meet what we all would say are basic needs. One of the things that we do outside of the Manor House is we go to the laundromats one Saturday a month. And we just take rolls of quarters, Kenny. And it's amazing to me how many people said, I didn't know what I was going to do. It was either put gas in my car, wash my clothes, am I going to have food for this week? I've got to be able to get back forth to work. And just to show up with $7, $8 worth of quarters and help them out. I'm talking grown men in tears that are working hard, trying to take care of their family, and just are still coming up short in some of these, what we would look at as just things we do on a daily basis.
Yeah, and that's part of the reality of our experience, which is why the Dream Center serves such an important role in this community. Apart from the Manor House, you have other opportunities for people to come out. Kind of mentioned the feeding program that people have, aside from the distribution and the night distribution program that people have. But you also try to focus on young mothers and other people that perhaps are in situations, single mothers, other people, specific populations that may have some unique challenges.
True. We kind of have a motto of adoption that it just kind of runs through our DNA of who we are. Manor House, everything that we do as a Dream Center, we look at it as if we're adopting a street or adopting a family or an individual. We're doing some good work right now with Johnson Towers. And 9 floors, I think 14 or 15 apartments per floor of former homeless, many veterans, a lot of folks that are mentally challenged, physically disabled, that in a lot of ways have been kind of set aside, maybe don't even have family, a lot of them. And you literally become family to them, that friendship we talked about, that relationship. And it's the going back, it's the showing up. Are you going to come back? Or when will we see you again? And Kenny, it's so simple. As we just take a little snack bag of treats, or we'll show up with a cake, and we'll take the guitar. This past Saturday, we had several individuals from the Huntsville Youth Orchestra that showed up, played some Christmas music for them. A lot of young families with their children were looking for a place to serve, and jumped in there and just loved on those folks, spent time with them, talked to them. That's what we do.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier too, I don't think we can stress this enough, it's all about the relationship. That's the primary thing that comes from this. Yeah, you're giving them something that they need that's tangible, but it's those intangibles, it's that smile, it's that word of encouragement, it's that statement that says, it's gonna be all right. I am coming back. You can count on me.
Yes.
And it's building that sense of trust that is so vital to help people believe that there's hope beyond their circumstances and the point of despair that they may be facing. One of the things that we talk about a lot in this program is the role of volunteers, and the idea that you can't get this work done
Right.
without people who have big hearts and have a sensitivity to other people's needs. And I know that you work with lots of volunteers.
Not enough.
This
But you're right.
This is your opportunity. That's why I brought it up. That's why using my cue to say, make your appeal.
Right.
Because we really want people to understand the need, but also be able to see a place within that need.
Right.
That if they want to serve, there's an opportunity for them.
Right. We have a website, HuntsvilleDreamCenter.org, and we're on Facebook, just Huntsville Dream Center. Really, the two best ways to stay updated and know what is coming that volunteers can be a part of. Manor House to me is a picture of what we want to see happen across the city on a day-to-day basis. Any given Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday that you go into Manor House, you're going to see business leaders, you're going to see pastors, you're going to see college students, high school students, middle school students. You're going to see folks that are going to take some of those groceries home with them at the end of the day, but they're on the backside, so to speak, making sure that those supplies are there in the line and folks are smiled at and loved on, and yet they are actually some of the ones that are receiving of the services.
Wow.
And we're just getting started.
Yeah.
I mean, we really are just getting started as far as finding those places. The Operation Green Team has been a wonderful place for us to plug in for volunteers. None of anything that we do is going to take a big portion of time. We understand that people are busy. We understand that people's plates are already full. Kenny, I think you'll agree with me, and anyone that's listening today, that when we give of ourselves,
Yeah.
when we just step out there, find that hour or two, if it's at the Manor House or on the Green Team or at the Johnson Towers or in the Boys and Girls Club. We have a wonderful door open to us with the Boys and Girls Club, with just character building and mentoring program in the afternoons. We're looking for that to expand, but can't do it without more volunteers.
Yeah.
It's an unusual hour. I'm going to plug that right quick. It's an unusual hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 6 o'clock. It's a 1 hour deal. You can come on Tuesday, you can come on Thursday, you can sign up through the website or just go on to Facebook and say, hey, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And we'll try to be prepared for you. Yeah. But we're only in one club right now. There's 9 other clubs that we feel like needs us. So we'll get to them when we get the team built and are able to do that.
That's right.
Precious children.
Oh, absolutely.
Great staff. Give a plug for the staff of the Boys and Girls Club, doing a great job in our community.
Yeah, you can't just say enough for the Boys and Girls Club, the leadership, the board, the volunteers, the young people that they serve. Just a tremendous organization that, you want to think that if a child stands a chance,
right,
that they're going to stand that chance because they were connected to a Boys and Girls Club, because that is definitely the positive place for kids. And it's a place that continues to shine in our community. And like you said, there are multiple clubs. And if somebody just shows up, of course, you're not going to say, get away from us, don't come in,
That's true.
We don't want your help, so
no,
people
we'll never say that.
Yeah, right. So if people just hear about it and show up, that's a good thing too, and we're excited about that.
Right.
This is really a good thing for our city, and I think it, again, highlights the many things, and you alluded to this earlier. This is a very giving community. It's a very compassionate community. All communities, in fact, that are identified as compassionate cities. Dr. Karen Armstrong, the founder of the Charter for Compassion, said, it's a city that has challenges. Anywhere you have people who have needs,
challenges.
They're the challenges.
Yes,
but one of the challenges is to rise to the occasion of meeting the needs.
Right.
And to see just how much people really do care about others. And I think that this community, time and time again, demonstrates that it cares. We don't have all the answers figured out, but we have some really good-hearted, big-hearted people who have an interest in making it happen, who have a desire to make it happen.
You're one of those people.
Well, thank you. I'm working
we appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I work with a great group of people, and the things like the Dream Center inspire me. the worship center, the Rock Family Worship Center, and Pastor Rusty,
Yes.
Just really a community-minded person and recognizes that, if I'm going to be effective with people, I've got to get to know people. And obviously an organization is only as good as its leadership and as strong as its foundation, which is its board and other people that have the ability to come and shape the vision for that place. And part of the vision for Huntsville and for the Dream Center has to be that we're going to continue trying to meet the needs of people who don't necessarily have what others may have, or who may have specific needs that we feel we can work towards addressing.
That's our objective.
Yeah.
Build those bridges of hope.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned Pastor Rusty. I am one of the pastors at the Rock Family Worship Center, and was a big part of my assignment is obviously to do the Huntsville Dream Center. What a privilege and an honor to get to do something like this, and receive a salary for it.
It's great.
How good is that?
Right, it's great to be paid for something you love to do.
Pastor Rusty has such a heart. We could have just done this out of the Rock, but it's its own 501c3, and his heart is such a kingdom heart and a community heart that he didn't want anyone to not be able to attach and become a part of because it was, under the church.
Sure.
So I want everybody to know that. What a great pastor. What a love for this city.
Yeah.
As so many others.
And I think it also demonstrates something that's very important too. We got about 2 minutes left, but something that's very important that a lot of times people say no because they think there's no other way to do something. And the reality is that if you really need to do something or want to do something, you can find a way.
Yes, sir.
That doesn't chase people away or alienate people or make people frustrated or angry with you, but to say, hey, we can recognize a common need. Even though we may have differences in the way we approach various things and the way we practice certain things, that there's a common need that we all can agree on.
Right.
And if we all who recognize that, regardless of who we are, can come together and sit around a table and say, okay, I can pour into that situation, make a difference in somebody's life.
Yes.
So that my contribution is going to do something to better somebody else's existence, then we're all on the same team.
Right.
So that's what makes the dream team that I keep trying to say.
Hey, you're saying it right. The dream team makes up the Dream Center.
That's right.
Something too that we've alluded to just in closing here is that in the community, in any community, a lot of times there is a thought that the church is an island and it can't come together. Why are there so many different denominations, different strands, different congregations, different groups? And it bodes well for us to have a Huntsville Dream Center, for us to gather under a banner, kind of lay down all of our
silos,
all of our shingles. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And what that says to the community, Kenny, I don't know if there's a way to measure it or a way to put a value on it. If you've got somebody that's standing on your doorstep or in your yard, that is Church of Christ and is Baptist and is Rock Family Worship Center and is Willowbrook and so many other wonderful churches, but to see them come together, that's one of our hopes too.
Yeah. And
it's a true hope.
Synagogues,
absolutely.
People of no faith. I mean, anybody that wants to be involved with this process can be involved because you're recognizing a need.
Yes.
And a need doesn't have a denomination.
It doesn't.
I'm not hungry because I'm a member of a particular group. I'm hungry as a human being.
Thank you.
And so therefore, there's a way for everyone to be able to help out. This is a 501c3.
Yes.
So it's a tax, anybody makes a contribution, it's a tax deductible contribution.
Absolutely.
And even more so when you volunteer, like you said best, you'll get more from the experience than you could ever imagine giving to somebody else. It happens to me every single time I'm involved in some kind of giving service. It's like, man, I walk away feeling like I'm on top of the world. Not because look at what I did, but because I gave something of myself and I left it all right there. Didn't advertise it.
Right.
I just did it because it was something that had to be done.
Right.
Chris Mitchell, director of the Huntsville Dream Center. Thank you for being here with us today, man.
Enjoyed it.
Tell us again where we can get information about the Huntsville Dream Center.
The website is huntsvilledreamcenter.org, And then Facebook is just the Huntsville Dream Center. If you like the page, then you can go and check out the updates and events that are coming up, outreach opportunities. And we welcome any and everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris Mitchell.
Thank you, Ken.
I want to thank you for being a part of our broadcast today, and we hope that you'll join us for our next edition of Impact. In the meantime, have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you again soon.